Hey, Sarah.
Hi, Megan. You're looking extra glamorous today. How are you?
I am doing great. You may notice that I have a little bit more hair and it's totally refreshed. I just went to the hairstylist and I am now a member of the two-row hoe committee, as you put it.
Oh my God. It's so funny with a little bit of a Southern accent.
The two-row hoe. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I got my hair switched out. It had been like 10 months, I think, of that hair that I had
Wow.
prior. So, yeah. And with a new hairstylist, it happens to be your hairstylist
Yes.
because I switched. I'm in love. I just love it. It's so much hair. It is so much fun to have all this hair. So I have a funny story though. I was sitting in the chair and another hair, this is a very trendy hairstyle business we go to. And there's probably 20 stylists in there and they're all doing hair at the same time. And it's just inspirational. And there was this hairstylist and she had just had a lot of hair like us, but decided to chop it. And she
Oh.
had a beautiful bob. And I was so close. I was talking to her. I was like, maybe I should do that instead. I love it. And then I texted my husband. I was like, should I do a bob? And he just said no with a period. I was like, okay, well, then I'll go back to the extensions because I either want it really short or really long, but not in between.
Well, I'm so glad you kept him because that would have been awkward. We wouldn't have been able
I
to
know.
be best friends anymore if you had short hair.
You would have fired me.
It looks so beautiful.
Thank
It's like a
you.
little extra glamour.
I
How
know.
how are your how is the wear feeling? It's a little heavier.
It is heavier. Taking a shower is interesting because I feel like I need to hold the hair up a little bit just so it's not pulling on my actual roots.
Right.
But other than that, it's been a similar transition to having extensions at all, which was like you get used to how much time it takes to style, but then you realize you don't have to style it very often, which is nice, especially with like fresh roots. I just don't have to
Yes.
like wash my hair as much, which is great. So
Yes.
I just style it maybe once or once every 3 or 4 days and then you're done. So yeah, it's a little bit of a time commitment, but totally worth it and just fun. And I've gotten a lot of comments from people and I'd be interested to know what you do in this situation. People say, oh, your hair is so gorgeous. And I immediately say, thanks, it's extensions. I wonder if I should be saying that or just accepting the compliment of beautiful hair. I feel like I need to explain it for some reason, but maybe
Oh,
that's my
I
guilt.
know. I know. I suppose it depends on the audience. If I don't know the person very well, I just say thank you.
Yeah.
But if it's anyone I know, or even if it's someone who just seems interested in beauty, I love to share because I love it when women share tips with me on like what they're doing to like improve their looks because I'm interested in that as well.
I
Plus,
know.
I do think it's pretty obvious. Like extensions have become so trendy, and I have yet to meet a woman like in her 30s or 40s with bright blonde hair that has this much hair because as we
Right.
age, hair gets darker and thinner. So I think it's pretty obvious. I can spot extensions, so I always like to own up to it. And then more often than not, they want to ask where you get it done and
Yeah.
who they can go to because they're interested as well. But
I
well, I
know.
love it on you. It looks
Thank
absolutely
you.
beautiful. And now we can both be two row hoes.
Hey.
Oh,
Oh, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing great. I so about 2 weeks ago, my youngest daughter, who is almost 4, she started part-time preschool. And
Oh.
I know, and it's just been really life-changing. It is a co-op, so I've started preschool as well.
Oh.
But I don't go all the time with her. And I'm just seeing kind of a glimpse of who I used to be coming out only in these few weeks of having more time to myself. And just like my creativity that I maybe have pushed to the side, I'm just getting more excited about work and more excited about doing things for myself. And it's such an interesting transition out of the baby years. And I just really feel, I mean, unless you have a child that starts school earlier, we waited. The baby years only last until they're 4, and then it's like preschool, and then it's school, and it's like, wow, it really is life-changing. So if you are in the baby years right now, you will survive. And you'll
Yes.
come back to yourself. It's now I look back and I'm like, gosh, it was such a short period of time, but while you're in the thick of it, it feels like it's taking forever.
I know. Yeah, I remember feeling that same. Well, so my youngest just started school. I had that feeling though when she was like 2 and 3 that it was like life will always be like this. Like I didn't
Yes.
see through to the other side of it, and you sort of get used to that status, like it's just that's how life is and that this is life, and it's so relieving to get on the other side of it. And yeah, there's emotions to process of like sadness that my baby is growing up and things like that, but then to be able to take back some of those things that used to make us like make our identity of who we
Yes.
are, not just as mom but as individuals. It's amazing. It's great, and it's
Yes.
on the other side. I agree. If anybody's in that phase right now and they need encouragement, it's coming, you know.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been a really nice week. And also, I would say I've come out on the other side a little bit improved in the sense that I am able to get so much done in those few hours that she's at school. It's like, oh my God, I did so much stuff. I just am much more efficient than I've ever been in my whole life as a
Oh,
mom because
I
you've
know.
learned how to really manage everything. And you come out on the other side with this new skill set.
I know. It's true. Yeah, you got to fit a lot into those 3 hours there in preschool. It goes by pretty quick, but I agree. Yeah, the efficiency has gone up over here too.
I know.
So it's
Oh,
nice. Yeah.
well, welcome everyone to Platinum Perspective, the podcast about beauty, travel, luxury, and more. I'm your co host, Sarah.
And I'm Megan. Sarah and I are best friends who put the work in to get the most out of life so you don't have to. So, everyone, today we have a special guest because we have the incredible Shannon Ford gracing our podcast. Shannon is a renowned pageant queen, having won Miss Florida USA in 2002, Mrs. United States in 2011, Mrs. Florida America in 2019, and Mrs. Universe in 2021. Further, Shannon is an expert on travel and more specifically, Disney. We're going to talk to Shannon all about her channels, and she's going to talk more about that in a second. But I really came to know Shannon during the pandemic when I was doing my exercise at home and flipping through YouTube, and I stumbled upon her show, and it gave me so much information about the DVC community, about joining and things like that, Disney Vacation Club. So Shannon has 2 YouTube channels and a newscast that is of immediate interest to Sarah and I. And those are the Shannon Ford channel on YouTube, which is where she covers her travel. Shannon Loves Makeup, which is an amazing channel we'll talk more about. And finally, the DVC Newscast. So Shannon, thank you so much for being here with us today.
No, thank you so much for having me. I want to record that and play that for my husband.
Oh, we are so thrilled to have you. You are the perfect mix of Megan and I with the beauty and the Disney. We were joking before, we were saying if Megan and I were one person, we would be Shannon Ford.
Yeah, it's funny. But I'll tell you, I have found that there are a lot of people like me who love Disney and also like makeup. So I've had a lot of crossover from my one channel. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
I
awesome.
love that. Well, before we jump into the questions, we do a little section called Rapid Fire where we ask just brief questions and you can answer in 1 to 3 words. Are you ready, Shannon?
I am ready.
Okay. Number 1. What is one beauty product you can't live without?
mascara.
Ooh, good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number two.
My eyelashes are blonde, so.
Same problem here.
Number two, what is your number one favorite makeup brand?
Charlotte Tilbury.
Ooh. Number three, should Megan get a facial? She has never had one.
What?
I know, right?
Yes, and I would say I don't get I mean, this is more than 3 words, but I don't get a facial as often as I should. But I would say start with a hydrofacial.
Yes. Oh, that's exactly what I told her.
That is what Sarah said. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
You will, and then you will get hooked. And yes.
Yeah, then you're hooked.
Okay.
Okay, last question. What is your favorite Disney party to attend?
Probably the Halloween party. We just got back, but we're going to the first Jollywood Nights. So, yeah.
Oh, that's the new one at Hollywood
That
Studios,
is,
right?
and it just worked out with our trip, and that's our last night of our trip. So we're going to the first night.
Oh, how exciting.
So I have a feeling that might be it. I don't know. We'll see.
Wow. There's a Christmas party at Magic Kingdom too, right?
There is. And I enjoy that one. It's a lot of fun. The best thing I would say is if you go in your pajamas. We've gone dressed up like dapper, and we're going to go dapper to Jollywood Nights. But going in your pajamas is fantastic because you get back to your hotel at 1 a.m. and then you're already in your pajamas and you just go to sleep.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And especially your kids. If your kids are in their pajamas, it's like just go to bed, and it's a lot of fun, and it's just more comfortable. I mean, when you get to go to the parks in your pajamas. So,
yeah, how fun. Okay. Okay, well, let's dive right in. First, we would love to hear more about your background and how you got started in the world of pageantry.
So honestly, it was a way to pay for college. I never did pageants. I think I did one like mall pageant when I was maybe 12, and I was horrible, but I never did pageants. And then I needed to pay for college, and I started in the Miss America program. Didn't really have a talent, had no idea what I was doing. I think my first gown came from TJ Maxx, and I started just kind of learning. And then I did Florida USA twice when I was 18 and 19. And at that point, you could just enter. So you could enter the state pageant. I look at those videos because it was televised, and those videos are on YouTube, and it's horrifying. It's horrifying. It was just, yes. But I didn't make the semifinal, so you don't see me very long. But then I did 3 years at Miss Florida America. I finally did win a prelim, went to Miss Florida America, but I never made the semifinals. And then I aged out of Miss America at the time, which was 24. Now it seems like that's so young now.
So young.
I know, I'm 47 now. I'm like, that was a half my life ago. And then I did one more year. I'm going to go to Florida USA one more time. And I had a boyfriend who broke up with me, who evidently he's now my husband. So that's a whole other podcast. But he broke my heart. So I needed something to do. So I got with a trainer, and he got me ready for Florida USA. And that was the only year I won. I mean, that was the only year I made the semifinals, and that was the year I won.
Wow.
So and I got to go to Miss USA. That was very unique because I won in July of 21. I won in July of 2001. And obviously September 11th happened. So everything changed that year. So it was a very unique situation. And I remember just having the Miss USA pageant was a target, and we knew we were a target. And it was a very unique situation. So we still keep in touch. We still have a group on Facebook. There's been a couple of reunions. I haven't made it, but some of the girls now live in Florida. Everybody's moving down to Florida. So I've kept in touch, and we still talk and then 22 years later, it's a unique situation to be in. And I find that with a lot of women who've gone to Miss America or Miss USA, a lot of them still keep in touch with their classes years on.
Yes. Yeah.
That's so great. What a cool community.
Wow.
And then you won Miss Universe in 2021, which is like mid-pandemic, right? How did that go?
So I did, right after we got married in 2010, I did Mrs. United States.
Okay.
And it was either that or have a baby. So I did a pageant. And and I won. I got all the way in, and I hadn't competed in 8 years. So I hadn't competed in 8 years, did Mrs. United States, which was a lot of fun, and really I traveled the country. I mean, it was an exhausting year. I was ready to give up my title after that. And then I kind of didn't do anything after that. Had my son, did go through infertility with my son. And then I wanted to do one more try. I wanted to kind of come back as a mom. And I did the Mrs. America system. And I won Mrs. Florida America, and I was top 6 at Mrs. America. And I was the only one in my 40s in the top, I think it was top 12. I was the only one in my 40s. Everybody else was under 40. So I was proud. I wanted to win, but I was proud that I had made it that far. And I knew I had given it my all. So I was retired. I was like, I left everything on the table, was very happy with how I did. I had a great year as Mrs. Florida America. Then the pandemic happened. So I was Mrs. Florida America for a lot longer. And I knew somebody who was running the Mrs. Universe pageant. They had tried to convince me to enter. And I said, I'm retired. I'm done. I have no interest. Then with the pandemic, the 2021 pageant kept getting delayed, and it ended up going virtual. And they said, we're doing a virtual pageant. I'm like, what is a virtual pageant? And it was on Zoom. I mean, it was
just like everything else during that time.
2020 can you get? So it was the pageant was supposed to be held in July of 2020. It ended up being held in January of 2021. And then I crowned the successor in July of 2022. So I only held the title for 6 months, but it was great. I actually competed in swimsuit and evening gown in my living room. I set up my laptop and my camera, and that was how it is. And then the virtual interview was on Zoom. So it was it was so 2020, but it was great. I had a great experience, and then did a lot. I mean, it was very surprising because I was going to events just with my family, and we were going to Supercross. We love Supercross, which is the motorbikes, and they had a race in Orlando, and they got word that we were going because I think I posted it on Instagram, and they contacted me on Instagram. Do you want to be on Race Day Live? And I mean, my husband was like just over the moon because I know some of these racers, but he was like, I was meeting like some legendary racers, and my son and I are like, cool, but it was fun. It was, and then I got to do a lot of other things because it was such a unique opportunity, and then gave up the title, and then I really retired, and then I'm really but it was fun because we got to go out to Vegas. And in July of 21, and Disneyland had just reopened. So we drove from Vegas to California, and we did 4 days in Disneyland. So it gave me an opportunity to go to Disneyland, which was fun too. So
wow. That's so amazing, Shannon. I'm like smiling so big hearing your story. I also competed in the Miss America program early on in my college years for the same reason. I wanted to earn scholarships. I never got as far as you did. I never got to semifinals, but I had so much fun. I kept moving to all the different local ones and just competing in all of them. And I had so much fun, and I met so many amazing women that just became such high achievers, excelling in education, philanthropy, and business. And you definitely are a top example of this. Like, you have propelled your pageant success into creating this incredible career full of all your passions. And it's so inspiring to see. Working in the beauty industry, I'd love to first ask you about this. Like, how did you kind of take pageantry and the world of Disney and propel it into a beauty business?
So the funny thing is, in pageantry, I was not very good at doing my own hair and makeup, and especially my hair. But I was okay at doing my makeup. But a lot of times you get your makeup done, and I never really I did it okay, but I wasn't never really great at it. During the pandemic, Austin Ride, who is a very popular makeup artist in the beauty industry and the pageant industry. He's also an amazing photographer, but he and I had become friends. He had never done my makeup, but he had done lessons, and we were chatting one day, and I said, I want to do a lesson during the pandemic. He's like, I'll do it for free. And he charges a lot, but it was like April of 2020 and we weren't doing anything. So we did it. We did a makeup lesson. It was like 3.5 hours on FaceTime. And he just taught me all his tips and tricks. And then what I did during the pandemic was practice, because I had just started my channel and I just wanted to look better on camera, let's be honest. And so I started practicing, and that's what I would do. It was just like, because I was bored, I was still working. I worked from home. So that didn't change, but like just going out and socializing. So that was what I would do. I would put my son to bed and I would practice with makeup. And then I had started the channel, and then I remember getting a PR package from Givenchy. And it was like the randomest package of makeup. And they asked me if I would do a review video. I was like, sure. Okay. And they sent me a package of like powder, and I think it was powder and something else. It wasn't a lot of makeup, but it was a new product. So I did a review video on it, and it got a lot of views. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I had started my channel in March of 21, like March 1st, 2020. And then pandemic happened, and it was all about Disney, and everything shut down. And I'm like, okay, now I started this channel. I have nothing to talk about because everything shut down.
Good point.
So I started kind of branching out. I started doing more informational videos about Disney, but then how can you talk about informational videos about Disney of a park that's not open? So I started doing unboxings, and I just started branching out, and it kind of evolved from there. And then it came to somebody told me, someone who knows more about social media than I do, and said, you really need to break off the makeup content. The makeup content is holding is pulling you back. You're not going to, people that are interested in travel and lifestyle aren't interested in makeup reviews, and vice versa. So I kind of started over again, and I started the channel, and it was kind of hard because when you're monetized and you start a new channel and not be monetized, you think like, wow, I'm working for free now. But I got monetized within 6 weeks on the new channel. So it was pretty quick. I was very, very lucky that a lot of people came over enough people came over. I had about 1,000 subscribers within a month come over, and that's what you need. Plus you need like so many hours. You need so many watch hours. So I had a lot of people come over, about 1,000 people come over. I'm only at about 3,500 on that makeup channel, but they're consistent. They're very engaging. And that's what brands look for. So it's really interesting of how it works when you see that. But that's why I broke it off. So I started that September 1st of 2022. So it's only been a year since I started that. But that's how I ended up with the makeup, because and again, it kind of just fell into my lap. And then I noticed that views and I got like a lot of comments like, oh, I love that you're in your 40s and you don't mind wearing makeup. I've had people say like, everybody makes me feel bad that I wear a lot of makeup to Disney. And I said, no, that's the only time I get family pictures.
It's true.
Thank God for PhotoPass. It's the only time I have family pictures.
Yes. Memory maker.
We went to Universal over Labor Day weekend. We don't have the photos there, right? I have no family pictures. None. We have pictures of my son because we don't have the PhotoPass.
Right.
So, but I thought, I was like, wow, there is, I don't think you need to wear makeup. And if you don't wear makeup, you don't have to feel bad about it, but don't feel bad that you do wear makeup. And that's kind of where it came out of.
Oh, interesting.
I love that.
This is totally off topic, but coming from like academia, I got a lot of judgment for putting a lot of makeup on too. Like it was like, I was like in the university systems and stuff, and that was sort of frowned upon. So I love it when I meet like highly intelligent, beautiful women wearing a lot of makeup, because I'm like, it can be done. And this is, it's a great role model, I feel like, for those of us who have felt really bad in the past about it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Coming from the beauty industry, I got judgment if I didn't wear enough makeup.
Where's your eyebrow pencil, Sarah?
Where's your full face?
So the people that are listening, we can see each other, but obviously it's audio, thank God. And I am one that I either wear a lot of makeup or I have no makeup. And at the moment, I have absolutely no makeup. But
we're going to have to add a question on your skin, because it's
skincare, please.
Flawless.
started in my, I would say my 30s is when I started taking care of, and really after I had my son. I had my son at 39 and 40. So that was really when it changed, because I feel like 35 every 5 years, 35, 40, 45, everything changes. Like you realize you just feel a little older. And 40 was really when I started to really take care of my skin. I was like, oh, sunscreen. There's a reason why we need to wear sunscreen. So
oh, it looks amazing. I'm jumping in here. This is not in the script, but do you do lasers or
yes,
what?
I actually did 2 lasers, and actually that's a video that's on my channel that was real, that's on it before I actually had a channel. Like I had the YouTube. There's some videos from on my channel that are just posted on YouTube, but it was really before I actually launched it as an official channel. And one of them is the laser that I did in 2019. And I did it once before Mrs. America and then once after. And the second one, I did a vlog of just my recovery. And it was asked by the surgeon to do it. If he goes, would you mind doing it for my vlog? And I was like, look, I'll do it both. I'll put it on YouTube. I did it all on my iPhone. And that video gets consistently a lot of views because it's a very popular procedure. It's called the Halo. It's from I think it's Skyton.
Sarah, she just did that.
I did my first Halo in March, and it was life-changing.
It's life-changing. I hadn't done it. I did 2, and I'm doing another one October 2nd. I'm doing 2 more.
Yes.
So I'm doing one October 2nd. We're going on a Disney cruise next weekend. So I was like, let's wait till after the cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is, I mean, that first one I couldn't believe the difference.
I think it took off like 4 years.
It did. Yeah. And the second one, he told me like the second one's not going to be as dramatic, but you're going to see the difference. And I haven't done it for 4 years, and I just purchased 2 more. So that will probably be on the channel too, the recovery, because a lot of people are interested, because the recovery, it's hard to know like what are you going to look like for a week. And I forgot the first time, or the second time I went, I forgot that my son had a dentist appointment the day after the procedure. And I mean, if I was as red, I mean, you burn your face is burnt. And I just walked in. I was just like, whatever, it's fine. Like what am I looked at the lady, and she looked at me with this face. I said, I got a laser procedure yesterday. And she goes, I got you. You're fine. You know, but she looked at me.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's because, especially if you work in an office, fortunately I work from home, so I can just not be on camera. But if you work in an office, there's downtime. So
I'm signed up for my first IPL in November.
Okay.
Have you done that before?
I did that early on, but like I said, I go for the hard stuff.
Okay.
Me too. I told Megan, I was like, the baby steps.
Yes.
Yeah.
I started with an IPL years ago, and I did it a couple times. And I was like, I need something stronger.
Yeah. I went with, I had done a breast lift and switch out implants after I stopped breastfeeding, and I went with a surgeon who was amazing here in Weston in South Florida, and I trusted him. I trusted him. He was fantastic. So when I was looking to do this, I went with him, and I probably could I have shopped around and got a better price? Yes, but I trusted him. And especially when you're doing stuff like that, you're dealing with like literally burning your face off. You want to go with someone you trust. And
absolutely.
So
yeah, it's a little scary.
Yeah.
Well, I love learning about beauty, and I feel like I'm sort of still new to some of this. But your beauty YouTube channel has been fantastic. And I'm wondering if you can just elaborate about what you cover, what topics you like to cover on that channel, what can viewers expect?
So I cover a lot of new releases. So those tend to be the most popular are new releases, because people want to know, like, should I buy this product?
Yeah.
But then I also try and do rankings of palettes, because I do end up with a lot of palettes, like eyeshadow palettes. So if I have like quite a few palettes from a certain brand, I might say like do a ranking video, because you might be saying, okay, everyone says I should get a Natasha Denona eyeshadow palette. Well, she's got like 25. Which one do you get? And so I do a lot of rankings because I enjoy watching ranking videos. So I think watching ranking videos are helpful for me when I'm making purchases.
Yeah.
Same thing with like foundations. I just did a full coverage. I love full coverage foundation. Like I don't understand like skin tints. I have them. I wear them occasionally, but give me the full coverage, right?
Girl, me too.
So I just did a ranking of all the full coverage foundations that I've ever tried. And a lot of it is personal preference,
Right.
like it's personal preference. And then, so I'm working now on one for medium coverage. So I try and do stuff like that are long-term, that won't, because the new releases, they're going to be hits, but they're going to be short-term hits. They're probably going to, people are going to look at them for maybe 2 months and then the views will drop. But these videos tend to, they're not hits early on, but they will eventually, people are constantly, they're steady views because people are constantly referencing back to them. So those are the ones that I really enjoy. I love doing ranking videos. They're a lot of work because I do try and put on a lot of information. And then I try and give a perspective of being a middle-aged woman that wants to look good, that doesn't necessarily, want to follow all the trends. I don't want to do this latte and strawberry. I don't care. But at the same time, I want to look good and I want to know what looks good on me. Mm-hmm. And most of the beauty YouTubers are in their 20s, maybe 30s, and the skin is different. Your skin is different. So what you like is different. And so I think I always laugh when I watch a video that's, like someone that's 25 doing a review of a concealer saying it doesn't crease into my wrinkles. And I'm like, yeah, because you don't have any. You're 25. So, okay. So that's like it. So that's where I think, and you can look on YouTube, you can see your demographics, and my demographics are usually 35 to 50 and women. So that's where I gear toward, is someone in my age range that, wants to look good. And also people ask me to cover some stuff like drugstore or more affordable options. And I do cover that occasionally, but at the same time, I don't wear a lot of drugstore and, more affordable options just because I can afford the stuff that I wear, and I feel like there is good quality. Like you pay for the quality. Not always. There is some really good stuff in the drugstore, but I feel like I've worked hard for my money, so I'm going to spend my money on the stuff that I want. So I cover a little bit, especially like lipsticks and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that you can that are great in the drugstore, but I don't do a lot of drugstore content on my channel.
Yeah. I love that. I love your videos, especially since we booked you. I went back and watched all of them. And I love learning about what other women love, or other women around the same age, and what they're using. So you mentioned in rapid fire that your number one favorite brand is Charlotte Tilbury. What do you love so much about them, and what products do you love?
So I got introduced to Charlotte Tilbury at Mrs. America. My makeup artist was obsessed with it. And, looking at Charlotte Tilbury herself, the brand just celebrated 10 years. They had a Disney 100 collab. So they did a Disney,
cool,
because they were celebrating 10 years of Charlotte Tilbury and then Disney 100, and they did a Disney 100 Charlotte Tilbury collab. Yes. Which I was like, this is like my dream. And so I got introduced, and Charlotte Tilbury herself, I want to say, is 50. So a lot of the products are classic beauty. Like, it's not, there's some trends because you have to when you're dealing with a makeup, a makeup brand, but a lot of it is, they do a lot of celebrities, and they geared their makeup towards that Hollywood glamour. And so it's very much suited to my aesthetic. Like they don't, the palettes, there might be some color, but they're for the most part kind of boring, but I like that. I like that. That's fine. And I think there's some consistency in that, and you're buying good quality products. The skincare is amazing. Her skincare, it's expensive. I do think it's a little overpriced, but it's really good. So I started really focusing on that brand. I pretty much have every product, and I became an affiliate with them, I want to say in early 2022. I want to say April 2022. And they reached out, and I became an affiliate with them. So that was one of the first brands I actually became an affiliate with. Wow, and cool. Even before I had my makeup channel.
Mhm.
She has a massive assortment. You have almost every item. That's incredible. Do you have a makeup closet? Or a
Good
makeup room?
question.
I have one of those elves, not elves. Elfa from Container Store.
Oh, yes, yes.
So I have a big thing, and I do give a lot away because I do get some PR. I don't get a lot, but I do get some PR. My son's teachers love me.
Yes.
My son's first grade teacher, he's now in second. His first grade teacher has 2 daughters. So she was just like, give me anything. And I still give her stuff. But so I give them, I love it because I when I can get stuff and I'm not, if I, maybe make one video and I know I'm not going to use it, I'll just give it away. Like I really enjoy being able to do that. And even for Disney on Ice, for example, Disney on Ice is coming to South Florida this weekend. I already bought the tickets. I love Disney on Ice is one of my favorite things. I think my son is over it, but I'm dragging him anyway because I enjoy it and he enjoys it. He's 7 and he's almost 8. So he enjoys it, but not as much as he once did. But I get the front row seats. I splurge. And they contacted me. I want to say it was about a year and a half ago. They started contacting me and asked me if I would promote. I was like, yeah, sure. So they give me giveaway tickets, and then they give me 8 tickets for friends and family. So technically for us, and I give them, like, for example, the tickets tonight. They gave me 8 tickets for tonight's show. We're going on Sunday. So I gave them to 2 of the kindergarten teachers at his school, So his kindergarten teacher, who is a huge Disney fan, her daughter, we saw her at the Halloween party. She's in the college program. And another kindergarten teacher who her son and my son were in the same class. Not anymore, but they were at once in the same class. So I love being able to do that where I get free stuff and I can give it away. Yes. Because I do have a full-time job and I'm very comfortable. So when I get free stuff and I don't need it, I love being able to give it away. And it's a very nice little perk, I guess you could say.
Yes, I love that. I have a makeup closet, and my bridesmaid gifts, every baby shower, every bridal shower, every teacher gift. I love to include makeup.
She let me go through her closet when we were like new friends, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like melting into the carpet. I was so excited to see all that makeup, and she gave a whole bunch of it to my girls too. Oh
wow.
Yeah, it's so much fun being the friend of somebody who gets all this makeup.
Megan, is that when you decided I'm going to be best friends with her?
The fringe benefit is too good.
Well, now I've started getting cologne. I've gotten like 4 bottles of cologne, and I just got 2 bottles of cologne. So my husband's loving it. So I just got 2 bottles of cologne from Ralph Lauren.
And
I like that one.
Yeah, and all they wanted to do was they just gave it to me and asked me to post on Instagram. So I did, and they're now my husband's using them. So it's like I was like, could you send something for me? Like,
but the women's perfume,
yeah. But so those are some of the fun things with doing. And as I gotten with the makeup channel, it's interesting because the makeup channel it's a smaller channel, but it's opened up more doors because I think there's the travel lifestyle Disney, because I'm not in Orlando and my content is just vlogging our trips and then informational. There's so many Disney vloggers that this is their career. They go every day. They live right next to the parks. They go every day. We're not that. So my dynamic is different. When we cover Disney, it's covering it from a practical standpoint as a parent who's actually, this is their vacation. This is not me trying to pretend this is my vacation. This is my vacation. So I think that's what my viewers and my subscribers like. But I also have a lot less subscribers than, like JoJo or Tim Tracker, who have like millions. I'm, almost at 20,000.
That's still a lot, though.
Yeah. I'm so close to 20,000. Yeah. It's very exciting to be that close, and to think that I started at 0 in 2020 is pretty amazing.
It's grown fast.
It's incredible.
Yeah. Well, I have a deep passion for learning about all things beauty, and I'm wondering what your top tips and tricks are.
So skincare is number one. And I learned this from some of the best makeup artists, is that the foundation is the most important thing, because if you don't have, it's like a house. If you don't have a good foundation, it's gonna sink. Same thing with makeups. If you don't have a good foundation, a good moisturizer, a good primer, having that good foundation, your makeup's going to melt off. One of my videos that was on my original channel is how I do my makeup at Disney, because that was a constant question I got, because I would be in the parks for 10 hours and my makeup would last. And people are like, how do you do that? And I honestly took my skills that I learned on how to do stage makeup and applied it, because if you think about the stage and the hot lights and how you do stage makeup, and you do it because of the hot lights literally melt your makeup off. Well, that's the Florida sun. So I did my base, my foundation, like I would do my makeup for stage. And so that was a very popular video. I mean, and most people are like, that's too much for Disney. It's like, I get it. I probably agree, but that's how I do it, you know? So but that's and I've been asked to do that again. Like, people have asked me to do an updated version. So it's a lot of work, that video. But it is something that's on my agenda.
Oh, I would watch that. You hit the elements. You get a lot of elements in Florida. You can have rain. You can have 100% humidity. That's the 100 degrees. I mean, the heat.
So that, I think foundation, or, having a good foundation, and then knowing what works for your skin. And that's like, if you have, I have combination skin right now, my face is really dry, just because I'm getting ready for the halo. So they have me doing some products that are kind of conditioning my skin to get ready for that. So my skin's a little dry right now, but for the most part, it's combination. If you're watching somebody do a review video on a foundation and you have dry skin and they have oily skin, their reviews means nothing to you, because it's different. And so you have to know what works for you. What do you like? And I think once you do that, then you find the people that you follow are the people that, are geared towards, what you like. If you like, full coverage, or has the same type skin as you, following someone that's in this within 10 years of you, that's where it makes a difference.
I love that. Those are such great tips. It never occurred to me to think about doing stage makeup when you're going for a really long day. And that's brilliant. Like, of course, that makes so much sense.
When I was Mrs. United States, I got invited to run the Princess Half Marathon as a celebrity runner. Yes, that was cool. That was the highlight of that year, was that.
So
and cool. And it's funny because I ran that half marathon, and my makeup, it looks the same when I finished it. So it was fun. It was so much fun. And they actually said, "Can you run it with the crown?" I'm like, the crown was big. The crown was the crown was, I actually hated the crown. It was a little too big. And it said Mrs. at the top. It said like Mrs. and rhinestones. But I did wear the banner. I had pinned I was dressed up as Snow White. And I just pinned the banner to my, everywhere, and I ran with the banner the entire way. So it was a lot of fun.
I love that.
It was a lot of fun.
Where do you keep your crowns?
They're in my attic, maybe. I think I have one here. Yeah, the crowns, I don't really like the crowns, to be honest. I have the banners on a wall.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, and you have a son. I just took mine out. I had them in storage boxes, and my daughters, I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old daughter, and I was putting them on their heads, and they were walking around, and I was like, oh, it's such a moment. I need to put them somewhere else besides in a box, but I don't know where, which is why I asked you.
Yeah, I have, I actually do have looking over here, I have my Miss Florida USA and my Mrs. Florida America here. But my Mrs. United States and Mrs. Universe are in the attic because they're just too big to put anywhere.
They're so big. Mine are much smaller.
Yeah. They're huge. They're huge.
They're huge. Well, these are great tips and tricks. I'm definitely going to think about that stage makeup one next time we do Disney.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, can we talk about the Hourglass Ambient Light Animal Palette for a minute? So yes. I was super anxiously awaiting this drop. I saw on your social media that you were too. And so Hourglass, for anyone listening who didn't see it, they were doing these incredible animal palettes just with beautiful components with their standard kind of product inside. And it was I think they were giving a portion of the proceeds to the Non-Human Rights Project, which is pretty cool too for animals. So I ordered the leopard and the owl, and I was waiting for your video to see what you ordered, but instead, dun, what happened?
Well, I ordered all three, and one had a snake and one had a jellyfish. So the jellyfish was the light, the leopard was the medium. The leopard is the one for my skin tone, and then there was the snake. I hate snakes, so I got the snake and the owl, and then by accident I ordered the jellyfish in the owl packaging too. I don't know what I did, and then I ordered the leopard. Well, they sent the two customized ones separately, and then they sent the leopard one separately. So the leopard one got into a train accident. I got a notice from UPS that there was a derailment. So it was already delayed, and I got the other two videos went up. So I planned to do one video, but it ended up working out that I did separate videos. But then I'm waiting for this leopard. I had a lot of people messaging me saying, when is your leopard video going up? When is your leopard video up? It finally gets here. I had taken the afternoon off so I could get it and film, and they sent me the snake. And so they sent me the wrong palette. So they are sending me, but evidently these palettes have been very, very popular. So that was on Tuesday. We're recording on Friday. I don't know when it's going up, but it just got sent. The replacement just got sent out today. So I probably won't even get it until, because it's in California. So I probably won't get it until next Friday. And then we're going on a Disney cruise over the weekend. So it probably will be a good 10 days before I'll eventually do the video, because I'm going to probably keep the palette. So I'm not going to return it. But it was just like,
what a journey. Oh, I was thinking when I saw it, I was like, the leopard was my number one, the one I wanted the most as well. And it's so beautiful. And to open it and
the
to
packaging
see that snake.
No, and then the snake
like,
came, and the owl's beautiful, and then the leopard packaging though is gorgeous, and I love those. Those palettes are the ones that I take to Disney, because they have a finishing powder, they have a blush, they have a highlighter, and they have a bronzer. So those are in that video. I think the one that I said of doing your makeup for Disney, I talk about that palette. And that was like the 2020 version, because they come out with this palette every Christmas, like every holiday, and it's September, and we're talking about Christmas, but they're great. They're great for travel. So
they're so incredible. And I have a few of their older ones as well. And with the leopard one, I got, the owl is a little bit too light to do this, but the leopard one, I started using 2 of the shades as eyeshadow this week. I was just playing with it, and I was like, oh my God, this is an incredible like gold shimmery eyeshadow.
That's what I've done with the snake, because the snake is way too dark for me. But there's this one like peach or coral blush, and as an eyeshadow I have blonde hair, blue eyes. It's amazing. It's amazing. Wow. So I'm like, I was going to give this to someone, but I might be keeping this one. So, so I haven't gotten it. They did send me some goodies, which is funny, because they sent me they sent me some like freebies as an apology. I got those, but I haven't gotten the palette. So they sent me like 4 of their new like lip balms, which I'm excited, because I hadn't tried them, and I was like, great, but I was like, I really want the palette. So
it's gonna have a journey to you.
Yes, it'll be a story. It'll make for a good video.
Yeah, it'll be good content.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Well, let's shift gears a bit and talk about your Disney journey.
Yes.
So you're the host of your own travel channel at Shannon Ford, where you share your adventures, including your Disney experiences. Could you share some highlights from your travels and from this channel?
So how it started, I think I mentioned that I had the YouTube channel just to post some videos that we had posted on there, but I didn't have it wasn't a channel. It was just me posting videos. And there is a very popular video of me. I think we're at like 1.6 million views of me jumping off the stratosphere in Vegas, or I guess now it's called the Strat. I forgot what it's called, the sky jump.
Oh, I saw this recently. I watched it.
Yeah. You watched mine?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You watched me crying?
Yeah, I did. I felt so bad.
Yeah. So I had made a bet with my husband that if I won Mrs. United States, I would jump off the stratosphere. And I won. Now that year when I won, we went, and then the winds were too high, so they canceled it. And then when I went back to give up my title, he's like, I'm holding you to it. And he did. And it took me about 6 minutes. His video is 45 seconds. Mine is 6 minutes. It's a lot of crying. I just couldn't, and I didn't even actually jump. They ended up just like pulling me up and dropping me. Like that's, and then I got to the bottom and they're like, would you like to do it again? And I said, no, because it wasn't that bad. Honestly, once you're in it, because it's a controlled fall. It's not like a free fall. It's a controlled fall. And it's not that bad. It's that physical jump. And when you're on the side of the building and you're looking at it's terrifying. So that video is up there, but that one's been up for like, I want to say 11 or 12 years at this point. But we went on a Disney cruise on the Magic, which is the ship we're going on next weekend. We went on the Marvel Day at Sea. My son was 4, and it was our second Disney cruise, but we had cruised a lot with Royal Caribbean before that. And it was just before the pandemic. We got off February 29th, 2020. And the next cruise, it was when they stopped doing character meets. Everything started changing. And then 2 weeks later, it was shut down. So it was such an amazing, we had I hate to say it, but it was like a magical experience. It really was. My son was that perfect age of 4, which is such a good age with the characters. He thought Spider-Man was his best friend. The princesses all loved him. Aww. They adored him so much that they invited us to this private meet and greet the last night, which was amazing. And I felt like there were so many things I wish I knew before the cruise. And I had all this footage from my phone and I didn't really have anything to do with it. So I ended up just creating vlogs. And the interesting thing is I had filmed not to create content, just I had filmed for ourselves. So it's not a great video, but I felt like that was the start. And that was kind of the start to the channel. And then I started, but then after I finished those videos, everything shut down. So I started creating content about tips and tricks, because everybody were like, hey, I'm going to Disney next week. What do we do? And then a lot of information about DVC, very, very popular, like questions about DVC. I think I did 10 things I wish I knew before purchasing DVC. It's a very popular video.
I think I've watched that twice. Yeah. That's a good one.
I think I should get commission off those videos, because I have a lot of people have referred, and I talk about resale, I talk about direct and the pros and cons of both, but because I think there's definitely pros and cons to both. But and then so I did a video about top 10 reasons to purchase DVC. And then where my channel really took off was I used touring plans to do my room requests. And I learned pretty quickly that if you have where your location of your hotel room really can make or break a trip. For example, the first time we stayed at the Boardwalk, we had a room overlooking Village Green, which was great, but it wasn't necessarily convenient. And it was a beautiful view, but honestly, we don't really look at the view because we're at the parks. And we're like, I don't understand why everybody likes Boardwalk. And then the next time we stayed there, we stayed on the ground floor. We love Boardwalk. Boardwalk is now our favorite resort. When you're we realized that we like ground floor rooms, especially with a kid. Now, we still use the stroller because our son, we tend to go to the parks like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. So we have the stroller because, he's 65 pounds. But, when you have a 4-year-old and you're in the stroller, you don't want to have to deal with the elevator. So we just learned that ground floors are for us. Now, it's not for everybody. So I started doing these best and worst rooms. And specifically, I started with Boulder Ridge, because Boulder Ridge, I requested a certain room that was a 1-bedroom, and they ended up giving us the one next door. So the one I requested was the best, and the one we got was the worst, because it had these vaulted ceilings, and we banged our heads for a week. We would literally bang our heads, and it was the worst room. I mean, it was awful. And there's 2 of these at Boulder Ridge on the 5th floor. And I talk about it and that was the whole reason for that series of videos, because I was just like, you have to know, like, when you request these rooms, you're taking a gamble. Especially if there's that one room, that unicorn room that everybody wants, the likelihood of it being available is slim to none. And you may get it, you may not, but most likely you're not. You may just get the room next door, which is really going to be bad. That's what happened to us. So I don't really request, like, now I request off preferences. I request like ground floor, close to, depending on certain areas and stuff. So I ended up doing that for all of DVC. then I got a lot of questions like, can you do it for the rest of the resort? So then I started on the rest of the resorts. And then I connected with that. I started doing that after I met Len Testa. I met Len Testa in the parks during July of 2020. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, could I use your website for these videos? And he gave me permission to use his website. And of course, they actually had to put me in the drop-down box for when people signed up for their website as a subscription, because everybody was writing like, how did you hear about touring plans? And people kept writing in Shannon Ford. So they ended up adding me. I learned later, and someone goes, you really made it big. You're in the drop-down box on touring plans. So they were getting, and I think that's just cool. You know, it's a fun thing to say. But then I started doing them for all of the resorts. And then now I've moved on to the cruise ships. So I did them for all of the Disney ships, and I still need to do one for Treasure. And then I'm still working on Royal Caribbean. So Royal Caribbean is our other cruise line that we like.
How do you evaluate all these rooms? Do you get access to them through Disney or like?
Well, Touring Plans has the floor plans on their website, and that's something that he has. And they also have a room request service. If you have a subscription, they will request the room. And they used to use fax, but Disney was getting so many faxes that they actually gave him his own email address.
Oh,
so they have their own private email address to the room assigners. And I will tell you, it doesn't always, because again, it's if you're requesting a certain room, it may or may not be available. But we usually will end up with what we want. Like, you know, ground floor. We were at Copper Creek in June, and we had a ground floor, great location, which was what we wanted. And so it just depends on what's available, because that's a lot of it depends on who's checking out and who's checking in and what the rooms are. So, and then with the cruises, there's a website that I use called cruisestateroom.com that I've used for 15 years. And it has all the deck plans for every cruise line, every cruise ship. And with cruises, you do get to pick your stateroom a lot of the time. And
you reserve it.
And he has pictures. I've submitted my pictures, but then he also links to videos. So if there's videos on YouTube, he will link to the videos on YouTube. So that's how I use it. And there's some special rooms on cruise ships. There's one on the Wish that when we went on the Wish, I found the person who was in that room, and I said, "Can I film your room, please?" I think she thought I was crazy, but she was very nice. And it was it's this balcony room that's on the aft on this, I think it's the 6th on deck 6, but it's huge, and it's a regular balcony, but it's almost like it's bigger than a suite. It's huge. And I have the video on my channel, but and I looked at it on the Treasure. The room is on the Treasure, and it's pretty much booked up for the entire. There's the room because it's so popular. It's so popular. Yeah. So there's a lot of cruise ships like that. So that's been and so I'm working on now doing the Quantum class for Royal Caribbean, and then the Icon. The Icon is the brand new ship coming out next in January for Royal Caribbean. So that's going to be the next ship, and we're going there in March. So I'm very excited.
What an amazing benefit for your husband and son that this is what you do for work.
I know.
Well, you know, it's funny because my husband's like, there's always these little TikToks of people like, you know, the wife plans everything and the husband just goes along with it. And that's my husband. He's just, you know, he's very thankful. He's always, after every trip, I have to say he's great, because after every trip, he always is like, thank you for planning such a great vacation.
Aww.
So it's always, now my son's not as appreciative. My son doesn't realize that, you know, that we pay for Genie Plus, that, you know, other people have to wait in line. So, you know, but he's great. You know, when you only have one and it took us a lot to get him, we spoil him. He's spoiled rotten, but he's a good kid also. Yeah. And he has his own channel too. It's he has 184 subscribers.
Let's plug him. What's his channel?
His channel is It's Ryder's World, and it's Ryder with
cute.
an I.
Okay.
And his meet and greet with Jack and Sally last year has like 54,000 views.
Oh, I'll show my daughter. She would love to see that.
And
That's
so when
cool.
when we saw them again, he was like, I have to see Jack and Sally.
Yeah.
So we ended up going during the first parade, which was only 45 minutes, which was great. It said 90, but it was 45. And he goes, I have to thank you for giving me my best video on YouTube. And they're like,
oh, that's so cool.
and they stayed in character. And it was pretty funny because he was just like, it's my videos are doing better than hers. It was really cute. So, but yeah, we're trying. He wants to do it. I don't push him. I'm very cautious. Like we have it as the kids setting. So we protect him, but he enjoys doing it. And so I encourage that artistic because he's actually very artistic, which I don't know where he gets it from.
That's so cute.
From you.
No, I am not. He draws. He's autistic where he artistic where he draws. He'll watch like a cartoon and we'll start drawing the cartoon. Yeah, and my husband and I are still drawing stick figures. So he wants to be an Imagineer. Yeah, he could tell you the history of Oswald. He knows the history of Disney. He knows everything. Like he's like a little Disnerd.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's so sweet.
I think I'm raising him right?
Yeah. You gotta let them express that. That's so good. Our daughters keep asking, can they be on the podcast?
Yes.
And can they have their own podcast? They want to make their own like podcast about popsicles and things. Like,
yeah.
Okay. So we'll let them record from time to time, but we don't publish.
Yeah.
That's so
Someday.
cute. Yeah, one day, right? So I wanted to go back. So you mentioned you've been to Universal too with your child. How is that with a younger kid? Because I've always heard Universal is better for like older kids, but do you have a lot of fun with your younger son?
40 inches is the mark for Universal.
Okay.
So 40 inches. I think he was 4. We went one day when DVC reopened before the parks reopened. I want to say it was June 22nd, 2020. 2020. Yeah, 2020. I'm really freaky with dates. But we booked 2 nights at the Riviera. We just were like, we need to go. We just need to be there. And it was very eerie being there to see Caribbean Beach empty, to see the Skyliner still, because all the parks were still closed. And even the resort was pretty empty. But we had a great time, but we did one night at Universal because Universal had reopened. So we did one day at Universal and he was able 40 inches was the mark. Okay. And he was just there. So he was able to ride Transformers, Spider-Man. So and I think like Gringotts from Harry Potter's 42 inches. So he couldn't ride it the first time, but he was able to ride it the next time. And then we waited. We hadn't been there since September of 2020. And we had done everything. And then we waited until this time. So he is now 50 inches. He is a daredevil, so he loves roller coasters. I love roller coasters, but as a mom, I was not ready for him to ride Velocicoaster. Yeah. Which is 51 inches. So we knew he was close. I felt that he was probably too short. My husband was convinced he was tall enough, and we got there and he's about an inch too short, which I was actually not okay secretly. With that. I was thrilled. And honestly, my son was too. So, but yeah, he was able to ride Forbidden Journey for the first time. So there were some new, The Mummy, he had never ridden The Mummy. So we had a great trip. But yeah, there's not a lot for little kids, and 40 inches is really, and even if they like Harry Potter, they can't ride anything until they're 42 inches. So it's not, it's just, a bummer. It is. Yeah. So, but
that's good to know though. I think that we could have that in our future.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a fun park. We did stay 2 nights at Portofino Bay, which is at the Lowe's, which is one of the deluxe. They have 3 deluxe resorts, and at the 3 deluxe resorts, you get the Express Pass. Yes. Which I highly recommend. Now, even with the Express Pass during Labor Day weekend, the line sometimes were 45 minutes to an hour. Oh, so, wow. Yeah, I even said it in my vlog. I said, I know a lot of people give Genie Plus a bad rep, but at least with Genie Plus, it's 20 minutes, right? It's not, some of them were really, like, I think Forbidden Journey ended up being an hour in the express line.
Holy moly, that's a lot.
Now we went on actual Labor Day and we realized we probably should have just gone on Labor Day and gone one day because we could have done everything because the park was pretty much empty and we literally would walk. When the park is on a normal day, we were literally just walking into the 10 minutes, 15 minutes was the express pass, and it was fantastic.
Like a normal like weekday, you mean?
Well, Labor Day was technically kind of still the weekend, but
Yeah.
most of the people were leaving. So I think that was probably reflective of a normal weekend day.
Got it. Okay.
And so I think probably a normal weekend day, the express pass is really worth it. But for the holiday weekend, I definitely would not do the parks on a holiday weekend without express pass.
Yeah.
I would just hit the pool, hit the bar.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. We just took our first big trip together with our families. It was in April, so it's been a while now, to Disneyland, and it was so magical. And one thing I love about Megan and we have in common is that we love to like research like crazy and find the best ways to elevate any trip, but specifically Disney. So you definitely are an expert in this field.
Yeah.
Aside from Genie Plus and aside from finding the perfect room, what other tips do you have on elevating Disney trips?
So for me, the best advice I would say is, especially this was a tradition we started when my son was 2, and we started doing family photos. So we first did them with Disney Fine Art Photography, but after the pandemic, they no longer do family portrait sessions. They stopped that segment. They do have the Capture Your Moment. We've done Capture Your Moment 3 times. We've done it at Magic Kingdom, at Epcot, and at Hollywood Studios. I highly recommend it. It's like $99 now, totally worth it. It's 20 minutes, but it's fantastic. But we've hired a local photographer, and I have a great, her name is Kim. Her photography is portrayable photography. She's fantastic. She's affordable. Her son, I think our sons are maybe a week or 2 apart. So she knew how to deal with my son.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So she was great. She has 2 kids, but she was just fantastic. And I mean, those pictures are incredible. And we've shot with her twice. We shot with her at board. So what we did is we started shooting at our resort. So we would shoot at whatever resort we stayed at. The first time was Boulder Ridge, and then we shot at Old Key West, and then we shot at Boardwalk, and then we shot at Old Key West again, and she made it look different. We shot in places that we didn't shoot the first time. Last year, we ended up doing the Capture Your Moment. We were staying at Beach Club. We were going to do her, but we were coming in on January 1st, and she was booked on January 2nd. So we ended up doing the Capture Your Moment at Epcot, which was fantastic because we just walked over. And I mean, I was in heels and we're all dressed up.
Oh.
And it's in January, and it was the only hot day in January. And, I had done my hair and makeup. So I've done it where I've done it on my own. And then I've also had a hair and makeup artist. I have a great hair and makeup artist in Orlando I met from pageantry, and she's actually going to be the head makeup artist at the Miss USA pageant later this month. But she also loves Disney. So we always, like, whenever something comes out or there's like a Disney makeup collab, we're always texting each other. So
that's awesome.
she's done like my hair and makeup when we've done like family portraits. So I think like those types of traditions, whether it's just a Capture Your Moment, or even if it's just taking the same photo in the same spot every time you go. And then not like maybe like the same castle picture, but something that's unique to your family. I think that's, even with like the Mickey picture, we compare all the Mickey pictures with, at Town Square with our son, because we have one for his first birthday, was his first trip. And now where he's almost 8, we have all those memories. And now it's changed a couple times because he's changed outfits a couple times during certain celebrations, but it's really cool. So I think those types of little things that are specific to your family, but I do recommend photography. And I mentioned this earlier, the only time I get family photos is at Disney. And so get those family photos, get the photo pass. Don't even I always find, is the memory maker worth it? Yes, it's worth it. Get it.
Yeah.
Just get it. Yeah. Just don't even think about it. I always purchase the picture package on a cruise. Yes, it's going to be worth it. Their pictures are always going to be better. So, because those things, if you don't have the memories, in 20 years, like maybe in a year or two, it's not going to be a difference, but in 20 years, it is.
Yeah.
And I lost all my memorabilia from when I was Miss Florida USA and my Miss USA during a hurricane. I lived in New York at the time, and there was a bad hurricane that came through, and it tore open the window of my old room where all my pictures were. And this was before digital. So I don't have much of my Miss USA memories. I don't have pictures from Miss USA. And you realize when you lose stuff like that, how important they are. So now I triple save. I have disc, and I have, I have everything on different drives, and everything saved. I also have hard copies, but you realize those pictures are really all that's left. So I think that's like something I would say is really important, that I think sometimes people don't think it's as important as the Genie Plus or the Lightning Lane, but I think it's the most important, especially for families.
I love that recommendation. We were just in Orlando over July, and it was like a family reunion situation. We, I called the fine arts department, and they said they don't do it anymore. And we hired somebody sort of, I guess, local, but a little bit random. Like, she didn't really have a lot of experience at the resorts. And so we were walking around with dressed up children and really didn't know where to take our pictures. And she didn't either. So let's link this person, because if she's familiar with those resorts, it'd be nice to have somebody who just knows where to go.
She's great. She's done it. She's actually she's an approved photographer wedding. So she's done weddings because you have to, if you do a Disney wedding, they have a list of photographers that are approved. So she's on that list, but they can shoot at the resorts. They can't shoot in the parks.
Right.
So if you ever have someone that says, I can shoot in the park, know that they're not supposed to, and you could get kicked out. I haven't met anybody that could. Yes, I haven't met anybody that has gotten kicked out, but they could, and it is a violation. So most photographers will not do it. And I would never take the risk personally.
No.
And the capture your moment are always fun.
How is that different from PhotoPass? It's like a specific pho shoot that you can schedule ahead of time.
Well, I actually have all three on my channel, so you can look up that, and you go, you check in, and now Magic Kingdom has 2 locations. Magic Kingdom has 2 locations. Epcot has one, which is the check-in is by the American Pavilion. Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom's the only one we haven't done, but Magic Kingdom, they now have 2 locations. So they have like basically different routes that you can go. You get 20 minutes and you get your own PhotoPass photographer. And usually they have another PhotoPass photographer to be an assistant.
Oh, nice.
So we had, and I will say, no, all 3 were great, but our last one was this lady named Ethel at Hollywood Studios, and she was incredible. I just love her. We have a picture of her and my son on our Instagram. And when they came out with the new uniforms, she was special because Disney chose her for that video. They chose like a couple photographers to model, and they actually featured her on the Disney PhotoPass Instagram page. And I was like, Ethel,
that's
I
so
felt like it
exciting.
was family, but she was amazing. And we've gotten some great photos, just amazing photos. And, we shot in the Italy Pavilion. We shot our family like Christmas photos in the Italy Pavilion. It was just, like I said, it was really hot. And we had like 20 minutes. I think we were done at 15. We were like, my husband was sweating, and we were done. But
so hot.
You get enough. And then you have those photos within like 20 minutes, like they're uploaded to your account. Now they're not edited. They're not, they don't have the reflectors like a photographer will, but they're good. They are good.
Okay.
So if you pay photographer, you're going to get better quality. They're going to Photoshop them. They're going to have the reflector. They're going to be more, I guess, artistic. But don't second guess the capture your moment, because it is a very good feature. And I think it's something unique, especially like Magic Kingdom. We did it for my son's 6th birthday and his 7th birthday. So we will probably do it for his 8th. I mean,
yeah.
I love that. That's such a great tip. It never occurred to me to get professional photos at Disneyland. We get them when we go to Hawaii every year, and they are my most precious souvenir from our vacation. And it's like, you're spending so much money and time and effort to go on a vacation. It's so important to me and my family to just tack on that extra little effort and time and expense to get those memories that'll last forever. They're so precious.
We haven't done it at Disneyland. That's where I need to do it, to be honest.
Yeah. We were just impressed with the normal photo pass there.
They
are amazing. We got some great pictures.
Megan and I got one of the best photos we've ever taken with Minnie. I was like, this is literally the best photo of me I've ever had in my whole life.
Same. Yeah.
we have some amazing ones with our son when he was little, and there's one where he's like kissing Minnie's nose, and just amazing moments. Now, I am sad that they have gone to some of the automated ones. The Mickey in Town Square now at Magic Kingdom is automated. It's not bad, but it's just you don't get those special moments because they only take it when you're posing.
Right.
So a lot of those special moments, we did get a couple of him hugging Mickey, but there is those PhotoPass photographers. I mean, some of them, they've never held a camera until they became a PhotoPass photographer, but I also think they're very good. They learn and they enjoy it. And you talk to them, they really enjoy meeting the guest and doing it. And we got amazing pictures at the Halloween party because it was raining, so nobody was posing for pictures, and I was like, well, I'm gonna take as many pictures as we can before my makeup falls off.
Yeah.
So we actually got in line there was no line for the Headless Horseman picture, which is the magical shot. There was no line for the hitchhiking ghost. Usually those are the pictures that there's a lot of lines. So we actually got a lot of pictures, and that wasn't a priority for us, but we ended up getting quite a few.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
That's really cool. Do you have to pay for the photo pass ahead, like on top of the ticket for a party, or does it come with?
It comes with so I have the annual pass, and I do the $99 a year for the annual pass. But here's the funny thing. Our annual pass isn't activated yet. We've purchased it, but we haven't activated it until November because we're going to activate it in November. But the photo pass still worked, and I still got my photos. So there's a little loophole there. You got to love Disney IT because
or hate it.
It's
one of the two.
In this case, it worked. It worked to our favor because we still got our photos, even though it's technically not active. But Disney, we all know Disney IT. So a little loophole there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I have a trip coming up, and I was wondering. So I've looked high and low for answers on this. I was wondering about your impressions of the dessert party, because what I can find online, it looks like when you go to one of these parties, like the Halloween or Christmas party, there is a dessert party that you can pay for, but I can't tell whether it's worth it or not.
I think it's subjective. So I've done the dessert party a couple times. We did it one time for the Christmas party, but it was the dessert party was almost before the Christmas party started. Because the fireworks, we did it. They actually had two fireworks that night. Because there's this right now, this time of year, there's only the Halloween fireworks. But sometimes during Christmas or December, it's dark enough early where they'll have the fireworks like at 7. So we did the dessert party before the actual Christmas party started, if that makes sense. For the Halloween party, it's subjective because you're going to miss a lot of the party. Of the actual party experience. However, you're going to have free beer and wine and sparkling wine, which is my favorite. Desserts. I'm gluten-free, so I usually ask for a gluten-free tray or gluten-free desserts. They usually bring me out a huge box of really good stuff. I mean, to the point, just chocolate covered strawberries and a lot of cheese, and then also the Erin McKenna's bakery that's in Disney Springs is gluten-free. So they've brought me out like 3 different versions of the cake and like the pound cake, which is amazing. So I've left with like food for a week in gluten-free, not all desserts, but so the dessert party can take a lot of time, but it's nice to not have to find a spot for the fireworks. Especially for the Halloween fireworks, which I think are some of the best with the projections, you have a guaranteed spot, but it does take up a lot of time. We ended up with an amazing spot purely by luck because we got out of Mickey we went in line for Jack and Sally around 9:05. It took about 45 minutes, which was pretty short. It said 90, but it took 45. Then we got in line for Mickey, and Mickey was 10 minutes. It was almost a walk. Like we pretty much just walked right into the room and waited in the room with Mickey behind other families. And so we were there probably 10 minutes. We got out. It was 10:11. I'm thinking about my video, and it was 10:11. So the fireworks were at 10:15. We walked up to the hub, and just as we were walking, it was 10:14. They were lifting the rope that they block off. And a cast member goes, "You can come over here." And we were literally right behind the VIPs.
Oh, perfect.
We were right behind the VIP tours. And I would say don't plan on doing that, but that was just, it was one of those nights that everything just kind of worked out. It started off really bad. We drove up from Miami or from South Florida, and it's normally a 3-hour drive. It took us 5.5 hours because there was an accident. So we didn't get there until 5:30. So we were, and it was pouring rain, but everything, like once the rain stopped, everything just worked out, and it was just ended up being a great night. So
that's awesome.
It just depends. I mean, I love, not that I recommend going to Disney and have a nice little buzz, but it's nice having a couple glasses of wine. You know, it's nice.
Oh, that's so cool. I feel like Sarah had that same experience with Disneyland, that the first day we were there, like, we don't usually have a ton of characters out. All the characters were out. I mean, all the best things happened with Sarah. So it was like it was such a good introduction.
So magical.
Yeah. It made me so
Disneyland,
happy.
we went to Disneyland in January of 2019. And it was magical. There's something special about Disneyland. Like everybody's like, how, isn't it just like Magic Kingdom? I'm like, no, it's different. It's similar, but it's different.
Yeah.
And it really was. I mean, my son was 3. We hired a sitter because he was obviously very, a short for a lot of the rides. So we hired a sitter one day for half a day, and she came to we were staying at Grand Californian, and we just hit all the rides that we couldn't ride with him.
Yeah.
So we did all like Space Mountain, Big Thunder, Indiana Jones, which is actually the only time we've ever ridden it. And so everything that we couldn't ride with him, we did in like 6 hours with the sitter. And people are like, "You left your kid?" I'm like, "Yeah."
That is what a special moment for you and your husband. That's so fun.
It was. I mean, we did the same thing with Moonlight Magic. There was a Moonlight Magic right after I won Mrs. Florida America. Mrs. Florida America was in Orlando. So I went the next day, and we hired a sitter, and we had the extra ticket. So she came with us, and we watched the fireworks and had dinner. And then we were staying at Boardwalk for the night. So she walked back with him to Boardwalk, and then we enjoyed Moonlight Magic, cause he was 3 and he probably could have stayed up because he's a night owl, but we also wanted to ride everything and enjoy the party. So that was our first Moonlight Magic, which is, if you don't know what Moonlight Magic is, it's a private party for DVC members that they throw. And they throw them random times at the year. And if they work out with your trip or not, it just, you have to almost stay on site to be able to attend. So that was one that just worked out, and it was a lot of fun.
Wow, I love this. You are full of so much amazing information.
I talk a lot.
We do too. We love it. That's the best podcast guest, right? Yeah. This has been so much fun. I love how you have really built this amazing career based on all the things you're passionate about. And I think that is so inspiring. What advice do you have for people, maybe these people, who are currently building their businesses?
So I would say just do it. My husband had talked to me about doing a YouTube channel for a while. One of my original goal was to be on what was the Disney Parks Moms panel. I've been applying since I want to say 2017. And I've only made it to round 2 once or twice. And I applied this year. I didn't even make it past round 1, but that was my original goal. I really wanted to be part of the Disney Parks Mom panel. And then when I didn't make it, I was just like, okay, I'm going to do this channel because I really wanted to share my information. And I thought that was my outlet. Now it's called the Plan Disney panel, but I felt like that was my outlet is to be on that panel. And then I just was like, you know what? Well, maybe that's not the outlet. And while I've still applied, I also wonder if I even still want it anymore because I do have this outlet. And maybe it's just not for me. I've met some amazing women and I've actually become good friends with some of the women as we apply, and we call ourselves the Plan Disney Panel Hopefuls. So I've met some amazing women. We've actually had a couple meet and greets or meetups in the parks. But so I've enjoyed that process. But I noticed this year when I didn't make round 2, I wasn't really sad. So I feel like maybe I've probably moved on from it. But it got me going through that experience and applying was the motivating factor to start my channel, because I felt like I have all this knowledge. People are always coming to me for questions. Now I can just go, here's this video, watch it. And that's what I do a lot of times. I will have people like ask me questions. I'm like, okay, here's the video I did on Genie Plus. Here, this is how to stack, because they're asking me questions. I'm like, well, here's the video. Come back with me with questions. So, because a lot of my friends, it's funny because most of my friends don't watch my channel. They know I have a channel, but they don't watch it, or they don't watch my or listen to my podcast. The funny thing is when I'll have like a friend text me information like, oh, did you hear about this about Disney? And I'm like, you do realize I have a podcast about Disney news, right? And they forget because it's just so not sweet. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. But it's just I think just do it. I think because you're gonna. I started with my iPhone. Then I bought a ring light off of Amazon, and now I have a camera. I actually bought a better camera, but it's still in the box because I just haven't got the energy to learn how to use it. So I do have a better camera that I plan to use. And I think you just kind of just go with it and you learn on the fly. And that's just the way to do it. And it's done me well. I am horrified by some of my earlier videos, but the content is still relevant. So I leave them up. But, I think that shows also where you come from. Like you start, I just started and then just did it. And I think the thing with me is you can see that my vlogs and my channel is just me living our lives and it's just our family living our lives. And I give you realistic, impressions, and, the line was an hour and a half long, and, so that's what I would say is just do it. As Nike would say, that. Right?
Yes. Yeah. I love the authenticity of the channels.
Thanks.
I tune into the most random ones, like going to Tony Town Square. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go see what that's like today. That's interesting.
I know. And it's funny because everybody's asked us, like, my husband and I are pretty healthy. We eat pretty healthy, and I'm gluten-free just because I'm celiac. I have celiac disease. So, but we also eat fairly healthy. We'll tend to like eat bad the last day. And so people have like, why don't you do more dining reviews? And it's like, because it would be like, here's a grilled chicken and here's another grilled chicken, and and
here's an apple I brought from home.
So that's pretty much it. So, but I mean, for the Halloween party, I did talk about, getting allergy friendly treats.
That's right.
Because there is a trick to that. Don't wait till the end of the night because they run out. And you can go back several times, because I did. And now my son has a bunch of gluten-free snacks for a good month for school.
Yay.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Because the allergy snacks are actually somewhat healthy, like healthier. So there's some Enjoy Life bars that he likes that are good for school snacks. So
nice.
Little tip there.
Okay.
Yeah, you are full of so many tips. We're going to have to do a V2 of this podcast or episode 2.
Do a Q&A. A Q&A.
Yes. Q&A. Yes. I would fill up all the queues. So.
Okay, so as far as takeaways for this episode, I have a few beauty ones, and then maybe you guys can jump in with some Disney ones. But definitely having fun with makeup just gets better with age. Don't hesitate to try new trends or classic looks, no matter how old you are. And then it's possible to turn any passion into a business, and it's never too late to start. And then what should we add for Disney?
Go to Shannon's Disney channel. That would be my advice. I started watching your videos, and now I'm still watching them. Like I joined in 2020 to Disney Vacation, or 2021 is when we joined to the Disney Vacation Club. And I've watched your room reviews. I've watched you do all these things. And when I'm not there, it's enjoyable to watch you be there and like sort of live vicariously, but also learn along the way. So I just highly recommend that channel, in addition to the beauty channel, obviously. Well, Shannon, before we go, do you have anything else you'd like to plug or share with our listeners?
Well, you guys have done a great job of plugging all my stuff. I mean, you guys are better. I should hire you as my PR. So I'm on Shannon Ford. So there is a Shannon Ford that was on a reality show. I am not her. I was on Wheel of Fortune, but I wasn't on.
Oh.
So I was on Wheel of Fortune in 2021. Yes. So
Oh, that's so cool.
So but there's a redhead she was on, I think, the Cavallari show. That is not me. But so I'm just Shannon Ford on YouTube, and then on my Instagram and TikTok, which I need to get better at TikTok. I'm still learning it. It's Mrs. Shannon Ford.
Yeah.
And then I also have Shannon Loves Makeup is my YouTube, my beauty YouTube, and then my beauty Instagram is shannonford.beauty.
Okay.
So,
And we will link all of those on our
Thank you.
Instagram. This has been so much fun.
No, thank you so much for having me. I know we've been trying to connect, trying to get schedules, and we're on different coasts, but I'm so glad we were able to connect.
It was amazing. So that's all for this episode of Platinum Perspective. Thanks for listening, everyone. Tune in every week for more beauty, psychology, luxury, and travel. Please tell your friends and rate, like, and subscribe. Bye.
Bye.